Hi there, James here. Hope you're having a good day and welcome to another one of my music theory lessons. Now in our last video we had a look at major keys. We looked at what a major key is, we looked at chord families, we looked at where a chord family comes from, and we looked at how the two work together to make music. And I said that keys is an extremely important thing to understand. It helps you to work out songs, make up your own songs, just understand what's going on in the music we play. And today I want to sort of carry on that topic a little bit by looking at chord sequences within a key. Now this will help you to look at a chord sequence and kind of analyze what's going on. Most people learn a song or some chords and they just kind of learn them from one shape to the next or one chord to the next. They don't really understand what's going on, and this can hold you up. So it's pretty easy to get to grips with this chord theory, which we're going to look at in this lesson. By the end of this video you'll have a much better understanding of chord sequences and how to move things into new keys and all this kind of stuff. Some really useful skills for any musician. Now, chord progressions, keys, intervals, triads and everything is covered in great detail in my book Noble Music Theory for Guitar. I mean, it really is written for guitar players. It teaches you about 95% of the music theory which you'll ever need to know. You can go more advanced than this, you can go more basic than this. This will show you the everyday kind of theory which you need to know about. Things like triads, chord sequences, keys, pentatonic scales, major scales, all that kind of stuff. Helps you make sense of all the music that we play. So check it out if you haven't already. It's been really helping a lot of guitar players. There's a link underneath this video so you can check out the book and see what people are saying about it. Anyway, on to today's topic. Chord progressions or chord sequence. So let's just find a chord progression first of all. A chord progression is simply a sequence of chords. For example, you might be playing a song which is going A minor, G, C. You could say, well, the chord progression for this song is A minor, G, C. It's simply a word to describe a sequence of chords. Now, just to recap what we talked about last lesson with the chord family, we said that we had 7 chords in any chord family from a key. And we numbered those chords with Roman numerals, 1 through to 7. Now let's take a chord family, any chord family we could use. I'm going to take the key of G, and I'm going to show you how this chord progression stuff works. So let's start by writing out our chords in the key of G. We had G was our 1 chord, A minor was our 2 chord, B minor was our 3 chord, C major was our 4 chord, D was our 5 chord, E minor was our 6th chord, and F sharp diminished was our 7th chord. Now, what we need to understand about chord progressions is most songs and chord progressions aren't just a bunch of random chords stuck together. There are the same old patterns and combinations of chords used time and time again. This makes it really easy to come up with good chord sequences because you're kind of familiar with what often works. It also makes it much easier to work out other people's stuff because after a while you can almost kind of guess where one chord's going to go when it goes to the next chord. So it can really help you in a lot of different ways. And it's all based around this idea, okay? Now, what we're going to do is take a couple of chord sequences from the key of G, and I'm going to show you how we can analyze them and understand what's going on, okay? So let's imagine you were playing a song in the key of G. We'll apply this to some other keys later, but you're playing a song in the key of G, and your chords are going G to D, okay? We've got G going to D. Now, you could learn that as just G going to D, and that would be fine. But if you really wanted to understand what's going on there, you look at the Roman numerals up here, okay? G is 1, D is 5. So we can actually label that chord sequence. Instead of just thinking of it as G to D, we can understand what's going on a deeper level there. We could say, well, it's going from our 1 chord to our 5 chord. Maybe it's going back to G then. And we can say then it's going back to our 1 chord. So we're understanding on a deeper level what's going on here. And stick around because in a couple of minutes we're going to look at how this can really help you to move things into other keys. Now I just want to talk about this idea here. 5 going to 1. This is a very important movement in music. The 5 chord in a key has a strong pull to go back to 1. And as songwriters and composers we often use the 5 chord as a way to get us back to 1. Look at any songs that you know and very often you'll find that 5 chord is pulling you back to the 1st chord. Just sounds good. It's something we hear in pretty much all music. The proper name for that is a perfect cadence. Okay, perfect cadence, 5 going to 1. That's the sort of classical music term. Personally, I think of it as the 5 chord going to the 1 chord, which I find a bit simpler, but either of those is fine. 5 to 1 or perfect cadence. So we could flesh this out with a few other things. Let's say you had a song in the key of G that was going G, D, C. Oops. So what would that one be? G, D, C. Well, we could describe that as being G is 1. We know that D is 5. And C is 4. So we could describe G, D, C as being 1, 5, 4. We also have a really common chord sequence called a 1, 4, 5 chord sequence. And of course this would be G, C, D. Probably the most common chord sequence in most modern music. It's what things like a 12-bar blues use that a lot. Loads of pop songs, country songs, 1, 4 and 5 chords. Really important. So remember those chords within any key. 1, 4 and 5. Hopefully you're seeing how we can take the chord sequence here and kind of label it with these numbers and help understand a little bit more what's going on. Let's throw in a couple of minor chords. Let's say we had a chord sequence which was going E minor, D, C, G. Here you'll notice we're not starting on the first chord, and we don't always have to start on the first chord, although very often we do in a chord sequence. Here we're starting on our 6th chord, E minor. So we would call that chord sequence 6, D is 5, C is 4, and G is 1. So we've got a 6, 5, 4, 1 chord sequence. I think you get the point. If the A minor was in there, we would call it the 2. If the B minor was in there, we would call it the 3, and so on. But that's how we can start to label and understand the movement between chords in a key. Rather than just looking at them and thinking, oh, they're doing this and they're going here, we can see what's actually happening. Okay, and this is very powerful, as we're going to see in a moment. Okay, so this stuff's all very well, but why do we need to know it? I mean, being able to label chord sequences like that maybe doesn't seem that important to you. Let's take a practical example of why it can be really helpful here. So let's say you've written a song for a friend of yours who's going to sing it, and your song's in the key of G, and it's going G, E minor, C, and D. Okay, sounds something like this: G, E minor, C, D. G, E minor, C, D. So that's your basic chord sequence for your song. And you practiced it, the big day comes, you're going into your studio to record it. And the singer starts singing over it and they go, hang on, I can't sing it in that key. I need to move it into a different key. And I'm really great at singing in the key of D. Okay, you don't want to be the musician who completely freaks out and goes and has to start hunting around on the instrument trying to find where it works. No good musician is going to do that. You need to understand what's going on and you need to be able to fix it so you can quickly get these chords in the right key and you can get on with the recording, okay? This is what all skilled musicians could do. So here's what we need to be able to do. We need to look at that chord sequence in the key of G, not just as 4 chords, but as Roman numerals. So let's number them up. So we've got G, we know that is 1. We know E minor is 6. We know C is 4. And we know D is 5. Our song is based around a 1, 6, 4, 5 chord sequence. Now what we need to do is the new key we're going to go in, we said the key of D. If we know the chord family in the key of D, this is actually really simple, but you'll be amazed how many people can't really do this fluently. So we need to know the chord family in the key of D. So let's write them out now. I'll write them in red. We got D, E minor, F sharp minor, G, A, B minor, C sharp diminished. Now, the thing is, because we've analysed our chord sequence in terms of numbers, this is really, really easy to do. We've got 1, 4, 1, 6, 4, 5. All we need to do is look at 1, 6, 4, 5 in the key of D. And it's really quite easy. You can see we've got 1, so we have D, 6 is B minor. 4 is G. And 5 is A. You see how easy it is once you understand this to put chord sequences in new keys. This is a really handy skill. You simply look at the Roman numerals, you look at those Roman numerals in your new key, and you can pretty easily move a chord sequence into a new key. Great to be able to do this. Let's say then you take your song to another singer, and they need to be able to sing it in the key of F. Okay, so the key of F is F, G minor, A minor, B flat, C, D minor, E diminished. We've got our Roman numerals here. We've got 1, 6, 4, 5. So all we need to look at is 1, 6, 4, 5 in the key of F. Here it is. 1 is F. 6 is D minor. 4 is B flat. And 5 is C. So we can easily put that chord in the new sequence. Now the thing you'll notice is they pretty much sound the same. They're just being moved into a new key. So here it was in G again. We've got G, E minor, C, D. Let's put that into the key of D now. G, A, D, B minor, G, A. And for our singer in the key of F, we'd have F, D minor, B flat, C, F, D minor, B flat, C. And that's how you can become proficient at moving in things into new keys. And the thing is, if you're working with good musicians, often you'll be expected to just be able to do this on the spot. You know, you don't get sort of a chance to go home and work it out. This is what the musicians working in studios and doing lots of gigs and things that are generally very good at this. It is an important skill. Okay, so that's chord sequences. You now know a little bit more about the Roman numeral system, how we can use that to describe and understand chord sequences better, and how we can use that knowledge to then move things into other keys. Now, obviously, I used a simple example here. So, often things get more complicated than that, and then it gets a bit harder. But the basic principle, that's how it works. So that's a bit on chord sequences. Now, remember to check out my book, Noble Music Theory for Guitar. Goes through intervals, major scales, triads, pentatonic scales, chords, chord sequences, keys, major keys, minor scales. It shows you 95% of the music theory that most guitar players need to know. It gives you a really good solid foundation of the basics, this kind of stuff, and shows you how you can use it and what you're going to do with it. So check that out. There's a link underneath this video. Other than that, thanks a lot for watching. Go through this again. Check it makes sense. It is a really useful skill. And I look forward to seeing you in another one of my lessons very soon. So have a great day, and I'll see you next time.